Hi Miss Austin. This is the third video on my DIR number 3 for Phantom of the Opera by Gaston Leroux. In this video, I'll just be summarizing my thoughts and the events of chapters 11 through 20. So throughout these chapters, we see sort of the exploration of Christine's relationship with the Phantom and how Raoul feels about that, and also how the other characters of the opera are slowly getting more involved as this relationship between Christine and Raoul takes a form of its own. And so in the beginning, around chapters 11 through 14 or 13, I'd say, is Christine telling Raoul about like what's been going on. And so basically Christine, after her disappearance through the mirror, Raoul goes to confront Valerius, which is Christine's adopted mom, at her house, and he is surprised to find Christine there. And there they sort of have this conversation about the angel of music, and her mom admits that the angel exists, but Christine denies it, and so they sort of have this back and forth toggle, but eventually she admits that he does exist. And the reason why she's been sort of avoiding him, like batting away his romantic advances, is because she's trying to keep him safe. So basically, in her 2 weeks of disappearance after her performance in place of Carlotta, she ended up in this sort of dark tunnel which was underground the opera house, and she was led by the stolen horse Caesar, something like that. And she was led sort of to the home of the Phantom. And at this point she doesn't know him as Eric, she only knows him as the voice, or she says that he's the angel of music. And so he wants to keep her there around 5 days, just not to keep her there forever, but just to form sort of a bond to where she pities him enough to visit him again. And so this is his sort of grand scheme, and he tells her not to remove his mask. And Christine's sort of take on the voice is this sort of odd reverence, because she admires the angel of music, because obviously this was sort of this tale she grew up on, and she thinks that her father sent this heavenly being towards her. And so when she sort of meets the man face to face, the masked man face to face, she's sort of let down a little bit, because he's just a mortal man, but he does have certain characteristics that make him not normal. And as they sort of together underground, they form this odd like Stockholm syndrome bond, to where they sing together, and then the Phantom confides in Christine about what he's working on and sort of and pieces he's composing, and they perform together. And in the amidst of their performance, she removes his mask, and she's met by horror at his appearance. He violently reacts, and Christine sort of talks him out of his rage. But the way she describes his appearance, quote-unquote hideous incarnate, which is not very uplifting to one's ego. But I wanted to mention this little passage that I marked with purple for quotes. It says, quote, "Understand that I am entirely made of death from head to toe, and that it is a corpse who loves you, worships you, and will never, never leave you. I will have a larger coffin made, Christine, for when our loving days finally come to an end." And end quote. And I wanted to talk about sort of that parallel between Raoul and Eric, because they both have this sort of obsession with Christine and her character and her purity. But their love is very different, but they are also similar in a way. But I think that Raoul and Christine's relationship is more of this pure childhood sweetheart sort of love, And with Eric, it's sort of this sudden heady rush of obsession and being tangled up in the moment, because they both share such a love of music, and I think they're mistaking it for love. Christine definitely doesn't love the Phantom. I think it's more of this admiration to pity to fear, but also this reverence for what he represents as an angel of music and what he is capable of. But amidst this, Christine's character is, I believe, is pretty naive throughout these few chapters, because even though she knows that she can't get married, there's a certain danger to it, or Eric might do something to Raoul that will put him in danger, but she is willing to get secretly engaged to Raoul after she finds out that he's going on an expedition to the North Pole and then he may never come back. And so for the duration of the month that he's still in Paris, she's willing to get secretly engaged to him. And it's sort of this gamble / game to where he's definitely leaving, even though he says he's not. Obviously, if you get engaged to the girl of your dreams, you don't just suddenly leave. But she says that you have to leave. Those are the conditions. While she's wearing the ring that Eric gave her to sort of promise her faithfulness to him. And so this duality with Christine, with her confession and faithfulness to Raoul, and her sort of very servile, I wouldn't say servile, like docile attitude towards Eric is very interesting to see, because later on she says she will leave with Raoul, but then he will have to force her to come with them, even if she refuses. And the reason why she says that is because there's a certain part of her that doesn't want to leave Eric out of pity, out of the figure that he is, and for fear too, definitely, because he's definitely a foreboding character. And so Christine says, I will leave with you after one last performance. And in this last performance, she wants Eric to hear her sing one more time. She will not leave before then. During this time, without noticing this sort of confrontation between the two, Eric is sort of lurking. He's always lurking, and that is a part of his sort of supernatural aspect of him, even though he's just a human. But he has so many supernatural aspects to him, to where, like, it says his eyes glow, he appears to be a skull, he can appear and reappear wherever he wants. And it's very interesting to sort of, because it's very easy to forget that, like, he's not a ghost, this isn't like a supernatural book. It's not meant to be taken in that way, but it could be from that perspective. And so, on the night of her performance, Christine disappears. The crowd is in chaos. Raoul is obviously distraught. And an investigator comes, and the character of the Persian finally shows up and sort of stays. He's been making appearances, like, from around middle to where I am in chapter 20. But now he's near the end of, at 20, he's helping out Raoul. But basically, he's this character that seems to know a lot more than he lets on, or he knows a lot more about Eric than any other character does. But for some reason, he doesn't help out until Christine is abducted. She disappears from the stage. And the Persian shows up. He has his servant give him and Raoul each a pistol to take on the Phantom with. And he knows where Christine's dressing room is. He knows the secret passage to the underground area of the opera house. And he knows a lot more about Eric's, like, childhood / background, because he sort of says, like, he's the master of disguises, or he's the master of trickery. And so hopefully in 21 to 27, which will be the next video explanations, we'll explore more of that. And something else that's going on at the same time, focal point on Christine, Raoul, and the Phantom is the two managers of the opera, Richard and Moncharmin. They are finally giving in to the request of the Phantom. They're finally admitting that he's sort of this real figure. And there's another aspect to Eric's character that's sort of supernatural or psychic, because Madame Curie says that the Phantom predicted that Meg, her daughter, will become the Empress in 1885. Upon hearing it, Madame Curie, just accepted it. And there's this certain certainty that she takes when talking with the Phantom. There's no doubt in her mind that her daughter will be made the Empress because Eric said so. There's, now we're diving more into the crime novel aspect of Phantom of the Opera, to where there's an investigator now. There's sort of this distrust among the two managers of the opera house, and there's more characters coming in at play, especially with the Persian. And so, talking about the characters so far, I feel like I know human emotions is extremely fickle, but Christine and Raoul's character are definitely very up and down a lot, especially since Christine says she loves Raoul, but she has to stay with the Phantom because for his safety, but she also wants to not hurt Eric in that way. And sometimes she's open and kind and trusting towards Raoul and tells him all this stuff. Sometimes, and other times, she's very secretive. She's very, she looks behind her back often. She leads him to the rooftop in one chapter just so they can talk, but Eric, of course, is always lurking. When she talks about how she feels about the Phantom, she says that obviously she fears him. There is no love, pure love between them like there is between her and Raoul. But Raoul cannot help but feel jealousy, and it's sort of to be expected from if, the love of your life is somehow involved with another man. The way that she still sort of sticks with the Phantom is very odd to me, because when she saw his face, obviously she was horrified, but she tells him, "Turn to me and I will see nothing from you but your genius," basically. Not notice, and this is the first time a woman has opened up to him, obviously, and he talks about his tragic childhood, about how his mom sort of turned him away and made him a mask when he was just a little boy. Christine she's a little bit manipulative, because in order to keep his presence in her life, to sort of improve her talent, improve her singing, keep the angel of music with her, she's willing to tell the Phantom whatever she wants to hear. So yeah, she'll stick by him, she'll visit him, she'll sing for him, and things like that. And I feel like there's this very balancing act of a relationship between them. And of course, with characters, both of them are pretty dynamic. They're sort of taking advantage of each other in the aspects that, Christine is taking advantage of the fact that the Phantom is vulnerable. The Phantom's taking advantage of Christine because she wants to become this talented singer. She's willing to lie about Raoul to the Phantom just to get what she wants. It's not like I don't like Christine. It's that I think I like her. I do. It's just things that I noted along the way that I wanted to talk about. Another part where it's another crime novel aspect, not really a novel, crime fiction aspect of this is Suspects. Viscount Raoul's brother, the Count Philippe, he's taken a carriage and left, and the investigator at the scene, he sort of says to Raoul, "Don't you think," because he knows that they had disagreements about him marrying or running away with Christine. And so the investigator goes, "Don't you think, shouldn't you check with your brother, don't you think it's suspicious that he's left after Christine's disappeared? I'm sure that Philippe took Christine. Though it's a very just move, you can tell the investigator is not taking any tales that Raoul tells him of the Phantom seriously. Is there sort of these, like, it's like jokes. They're like joking about the Phantom, joking about its existence. And it's probably going to tamper with the investigation, but we'll have to see with the later chapters. Next video will be chapters 21 through 27, which will take us to the end of the book, and then I'll make a separate video on the epilogue. But as far as predictions go, maybe I think Christine will end up with Raoul. Because, like, Forbidden Love thing never ended up that well. Christine will choose Raoul, and maybe Raoul... I don't think she'll be able to live with herself if Raoul killed Eric. And so I think somehow the Persian's going to come into play. Maybe he takes Eric away. But yeah, I think that's how it's going to end. I think fairy tale ending, Christine's going to end up with Raoul. And that's it for this video. Next video, it's like midnight at night, but I'll get the other video up.